I tell you these things not to boast, not to make myself look like the star that I truly am, but to protect myself from the powers that be. You see, when someone speaks the truth about any forbidden topic, they're first ignored. Well, I'm not ignored anymore because I've done almost 200 internet radio shows on Kinetic Hi-Fi, Blog Talk Radio with Tammy Texas in the show Prepping for the New World Order, and now with Clay Douglas. The first thing that's done is, as I said, the powers that be, the Zionist Anglo-American Empire, the global elite, those in power, their stooges, ignore you. Second thing they do is denigrate the character of the one speaking the truth. The third thing they do is, well, he's usually found, was in the past that is, missing in action or found dead by suicide with a bullet in the back of the head. And the fools who read the Jews papers or listen to Zionist-controlled media believe the tale. Well, number three, they won't kill me because I'm on a mission from God, the real God, not the God of the Bible. The primal will to good. That's the third thing. It doesn't apply to me. They don't want another martyr. The second thing is they can't denigrate my character because I'm no angel. I'm no devil either. As many a Goldilocks told me, Russell, you're right in between. You're just right. So let me begin and tell you about the dangers of prescription drugs because I've been there and done that. When I was 16, I started drinking Robitussin AC cough medicine when you could get it. And of course, a couple of Dardens, Seconals, or Tuinals with it. Then it was a little heroin. Then I got busted for something, ironically, I did not do. I was set up and did 3 years on a misdemeanor conviction in a state joint because it involved the chief of the editorial staff of Newsday, Long Island, Bob Greene, who was famous for his book, The Heroin Trail. He was investigating a gang that didn't exist called the Pill for Kicks gang, which I was supposed to be a leader. Unadulterated balderdash. Anyway, the man assaulted me, and of course I defended myself. He was a big guy. He stood no chance against a street fighter such as I. And I wound up arrested. They actually came to get me in Massachusetts on a misdemeanor. They sentenced me under the penal law and gave me the misdemeanor convictions for assault and illegal possession of barbiturates, 850 of them, which were not mine. And I was convicted. Ironically, I had witnesses saying he assaulted me, but he had witnesses attesting to his character. A little Chinese guy who said, Mr. Green, honorable man, he no tell lie. And then a wannabe mafioso, he don't know what the real mafia is, this creep, by the name of Frank, I forget his last name. The Chinaman owned a Gamwa, a big Chinese restaurant and bar and lounge in Carl Place, Long Island, and the other guy owned the Woodbury Bowling Alley Bar and Lounge. Ironically, both of them were arrested 2 years later for running prostitution rings. Says so much for character. Anyway, I was sentenced to Elmira Reception Center, was shipped to the reformatory, did a number on 2 black Muslims, 5%ers, no reflection on black people, and they shipped me out from Elmira Reformatory where they sent me to Comstock, Great Meadow Correctional Institution, where I maxed out, no parole. Came home, would not do drugs again. Started selling piece goods in the garment center after I had 2 short stories published by the Evergreen Review, but they didn't pay me any money. So I went into sales, sold for the 7th Avenue dress trade, had a dandy time with the designers and the buyers. Yeah, I sold to Anne Klein, Mamselle by Betty Carroll, Christian Dior, Anne Fogarty, and all the better sportswear, ladies sportswear, and ladies dresswears in New York on 7th Avenue. Left there, went into the termite and waterproofing business, which I owned, made a fortune. Then the siding business, which I made a fortune. That time I wasn't using drugs, but I did start using cocaine in the late 80s. In the mid 80s, I'm sorry, about 83. 3 times a week. Was I addicted? Absolutely not. Did I drink? At times, not when I went clubbing. I needed the rap to be perfect. I needed the silver tongue to wag with perfection, and it did. I was the man. I knew how to go into a club and tell the girls I was a dance instructor or I was a doctor, a lawyer, an Indian chief. They believed me. All the time. However, in the 90s, after I got married and I was making, no lie, I would say a bad month was $30,000 profit in the mortgage business. I was living high on the hog, living in a townhouse in New York that I owned, and in the Gulf Ocean Club on the Gulf Ocean Mile in Fort Lauderdale on the beach, which I sold for twice the money I paid for it. And then I bought the Galleon, which was a real swanky place, and was having a dandy time. Was married, going on vacation after vacation. Had it made in the shade. When I was back in New York, I would get 8 tickets a month to 2 Broadway shows so we could bring another couple. And then like a fool, I decided, let me get high. Started using prescription drugs. Started with Percodan rather. Went to Percocet, then to Roxycodone, Oxycodones, Oxycontin, Demerol, Dilaudid, Xanax to get the old heroin high. And believe me, it turned out to be a horror. And eventually I detoxed. Several years ago, and I mean, I guess it was about 5 years ago, and I did it cold turkey. It actually ran out of, because the recession hit, the recession being masqueraded as a recession. So money wasn't that great. I was forced to move into another house that I owned outright on the West Coast, which was in a trust. So I was totally protected from any kind of seizure of anything, especially in Florida. Well, I ran out of money, I ran out of drugs, and I had 4 days to go, and I was taking, oh my God, maybe 80 milligrams of methadone, and about 8 to 12, 30 milligram Roxycodones a day. The ones you fools out there pay $30 a pill for. I could have afforded it. But what happened was I ran out. And the withdrawals came, and they were tough. Oh my God, they were tough. And I cried out to my Heavenly Father in the name of Jesus, get me out of this now. Which always works for me. I went out in the sun on the lanai, and all of a sudden the withdrawals stopped. For only 10 minutes. But in that 10 minutes I said, holy coyote, this is the way I like to feel. I didn't have any withdrawals. I felt like I was born again. I said, I'm going to stop. So I spent the money for the doctor. I canceled the appointment, and I went through holy hell for 2 months. That's how I did it. So don't let the good looks and the great body fool you. I've been there and done that. I actually would go to the gym high. No one knew it. I could go to the gym and be the mayor, advise the young people. The girls, of course, loved me because I looked good. And I had the rap, and I always had the rap, and I always will have the rap. But let me tell you about drugs, what it's doing to you kids out there. First of all, these drugs do not take away the pain. You say you go to the doctor for pain, please. I had 7 tears in my knee from an MRI, which would showed up. And of course the doctors believed I was in pain, but that wasn't why I went to the doctor, and that's not why you go to the doctor. You go there to get the buzz that's destroying you. Because the first thing these painkillers, narcotic pain medications do for you is restrict the kidneys. They constrict the kidneys. They cause the kidneys to blow up with water, which means you swell up with water. This could cause swelling of the lower legs, which leads to edema and eventual heart failure. I'm sure you don't want that. Maybe you do, but what about your parents, your loved ones? You're going to do that to them? I guarantee you, if you do, you'll come back in another life, because reincarnation is an unadulterated, bona fide, irrevocable fact that the wise know well, and it'll happen to you. Yeah, your kids will do the same to you. You don't want that. Second thing it does is affect the colon. It constricts the colon. It stops you from having proper bowel movements, 2 a day at least, that you should have. You may go days. You may have to drink prune juice. You may have to take stool softeners, all other kinds of stuff to get rid of the constipation. Because if you don't, you'll wind up with a hernia. Yeah, an abdominal hernia, which can kill you. Then you got to deal with the terrible withdrawals. Either way, you got to deal with them. You could go cold turkey to the point of death, and I was. I think I did die. But I came back. But then again, I am the Phoenix. It's what I do. I'm blessed. So they tell you to come down 5% a day. So in other words, if you're taking 10 pills a day, take a half a pill for a week. A half a pill less. Next week, a whole pill less. Work your way down. Then what happens? You're still going to get the fracking withdrawals. No, you won't die from them, but you'll get them. And if you're taking hypnotics to go to sleep, or Xanax for whatever the reason, or Valium, or I believe the other one is called Klonopin, which I've never taken, those drugs are hypnotics. And if you stop taking them, especially Xanax, which is probably the most dangerous of them, you could die of a brain seizure. Guys, the drugs ain't doing nothing for you. The doctor ain't doing nothing for you. He's doing it for himself. If he really wanted to help you and he believed you had a problem and he was sincere, he would give you a year's supply. Not a month's supply, but by giving you a month's supply, you go back every month and pay him his money. And then he gives you other drugs because he tells you you're developing another problem. But the other problem you have is him and the drugs. He doesn't like you. He acts like he likes you. He may have a wonderful bedside manner, but he's a creep. He's a salesman for the pharmaceutical companies, big pharma, that wants you addicted and wants to take away your life. I'll make a suggestion to you. If you're having difficulty stopping drugs, contact me. I'll help you. And I'm not going to charge you. It's what I do. I help people. In fact, I have a friend of mine that runs a rehab in New York. He calls me once a month at the end of a meeting. I get on a speaker and I make them laugh and tell them where it's at. And they love me just like they do on the radio because I pull no punches. You either love me or you hate me because I'm in your fucking face. I play hardball. I played it on the streets of New York. I played it in Long Island and in New York City and in upstate New York, where I did a lot of damage to a lot of people who were doing damage to other people. I don't play nice. Friends, you got to stop with the drugs. They're that bad. Now, the street drugs, please. If you told me you were on pure heroin or pure cocaine from yesteryear, I would say, well, you're going to go through withdrawals. They're probably going to take you about a week to get over. It's not good for you because it leads to other things and you wind up selling your soul. Don't do it. But it's nothing at all like the heroin on the street today or the so-called cocaine or these new drugs. I don't even know the names of them, nor do I want to. I could wake up in the most severe pain and embrace it, and it'll pass. And I have for the last few days, and I still wound up working out anyway, because that's what I do. What do I take for pain to make me able to walk? Because it was a time with my knee where I was having difficulty walking, and I wouldn't let them give me a knee replacement, because that only works 20% of the time. I take organic sulfur. You see, if you really have pain, friends, the biological definition of pain is the absence of oxygen in the cells, just the body cells, and in the connective tissue. Just like in plants, it's the absence of carbon dioxide. We breathe oxygen, plants breathe carbon dioxide. So I take organic sulfur. Organic sulfur was part of all foods up until the early 50s, when the Rockefeller cartels, who were owned by the Rothschild cartels, who owned the Zionist Anglo-American Empire, poisoned our soils with pesticides and killed the sulfur. Before that, everybody had sulfur, you wouldn't have these diseases. And there are some, and I won't attest to this, who take sulfur and swear that it stopped the cancer that was developing. Will it? I believe it will, but not in the advanced stages. Then it's too late. You have to stop with the drugs. You take organic sulfur. I can tell you where to get that too. But that's up to you. Some people are allergic to it. I'm not. You take a tablespoon twice a day per 100 pounds of body weight. I weigh about 185. I'm about 5'8" and a half. I'm solid, so that helps me. It allows me to walk fast, power walk, and I could run, but I don't. I could go do a lot of bike riding. It doesn't affect me, and I could work out and do things that the 30-year-olds can't do, especially for endurance, because I believe power is speed plus technique. You add a little endurance, and you are awesome, amazing, unlimited, unconquerable, indomitable, and unstoppable. Folks, you could do the same thing. You gotta stop taking drugs. Remember again, the organic sulfur will transport oxygen to the cells, and within 2 weeks, you won't have the pain you have. We all have pain from age. I'm not a youngster. Because bursitis, arthritis, and the joints get affected. And the body ages. The best you can do is keep it stable. Well, you can't keep it stable. Make it better. This way it'll stay stable or even get a little better. That's what you got to do, folks. That's all. Have a great night and take my advice. I really know what I'm talking about.